Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Welcome to another lecture. In this class, we are going to continue with Unit 11 of Class 12 Education Nagaland 4, which is Intelligence. Now, so far in the previous lectures, we've discussed about the definition, the meaning of intelligence, the characteristics of intelligence, as well as the multiple intelligence theory given by Gardner. Now, in this class, we are going to focus on the theories of intelligence. What are the theories laid by the psychologists behind the concept of intelligence? The first theory is or the one-factor theory. Now, according to some psychologists, intelligence, is based or is an effect or is the ability of how one is able to use one's cognitive skills. Okay? How well you are able to make use of your cognitive abilities, how well you are going to be able to perform in those tasks which require you to use your mental processes. Now, according to this theory, a person who's very well in mathematical problems, in analyzing poetries, taking some examination in history as well as the solving riddles. Why? Because all these tasks, all these capabilities require one to use one's brain, require one to use one's cognition. So, or the one-factor theory focuses on the ability of a person to be very well equipped with cognitive abilities, and such people are able to solve the mathematical problems, poetries, riddles, crosswords, Sudoku very well. Then the next we have the two-factor theory. According to the two-factor theory given by Spearman, now, Spearman suggested that intelligence consists of two factors, as I talked to you about it when we were discussing the definition given by Spearman also. One is the G factor and the other one is the S factor. G factor means the general factor that a person possesses, and S factor means the specific factors that a person possesses. Now, G factors, according to Spearman, include all those, capabilities and, the capacities which a person possesses, at a very primary stage, and everyone has an average of such G factors. Everyone in common has those abilities in them. While what is an S factor? An S factor is something which is an addition to the basic abilities possessed by the people. Basic intelligence everybody has, but a person who's well learned, a person who is interested in learning more, in acquiring more information, will be able to add on to their knowledge, will be able to increase their knowledge base by having that S factor. Everybody, as I said, is, intelligent on an average level. But the people who end up becoming scientists, excellent singers, doctors, athletes, architects, then lawyers, that is because they, other than having the G factor, they used and they inherited, they acquired some special abilities also that helped them to excel in whatever field they were interested in. Then we have again the multiple theory of intelligence, as we have talked about it at length in the previous lectures. Gardner has given the multiple theory of intelligence, and he has specified the intelligence of a human being in 8 areas. And every intelligence is independent in nature, and we've discussed about that already. The next one is the functions of intelligence. Now, what do we mean by the functions of intelligence? A person who is intelligent is always going to aim towards the achievement of his or her goals. An intelligent person would know how to adapt, how to learn in a new environment, how to get adjusted to a new situation. And such adaptation in a physical world or in a social environment is going to make sure that the person learns new things, is able to solve new problems, and acquire something new that the person did not have earlier. So, a person who is intelligent and knows how to adapt oneself to the nature, to the environment perfectly, is considered to be a rational being and is considered to be somebody who knows what is the purpose behind everything that they are doing. Now, there are again a lot of theories of intelligence which have been used to understand, how the nature of a person leads one to acquiring intelligence. Now, for example, we have the unitary and the monarchy. What do we mean by unarchy and monetary and unitary theory? It means, let's say, if a person is intelligent, no matter what task is given to him, be it related to cooking, be it related to driving, be it related to some tools, be it related to some science, be it related to writing, he will be able to do it all. This is what in the layman's language I can describe you the unitary or the monarchy theory. Now this theory was put forward by Johnson and Stem, and they believed in one thing, that a person who is capable, who is intellectually competent, that means whose brain is very smart and intelligent, is universal for all the activities that one can think of. Somebody who has the energy can do one thing with as much ease and efficiency as he can do the second thing. It is not that he will only be good in doing the first thing, and with respect to the second thing, there will be some lack that will be displayed from his end. No. He'd be equally intelligent and compatible to take further both the things. Why? Because he has a universal intelligence. He can utilize that intelligence in any area, any field of his life, and can become successful in anything and everything that he wishes to pursue in life. And, according to the psychologist, something like this theory is prevalent. But obviously, when we talk about the real life scenario, this idea does not fit well, very appropriately. The children who are very good at mathematics are not necessarily good at English. Or children who are very good at English may not be good at social studies. And therefore, this unitary theory is very simple and it does not explain the factor of intelligence very satisfactorily. The next theory that we have is the anarchic or the multi-factor theory. Now, this theory was put up by Thorndike, E.L. Thorndike, and he did not believe in the concept of this, unitary or the monarchic theory. He did not believe in the fact that a person has a general mental ability and that he can utilize it for everything and anything that he wants to do. According to E.L. Thorndike, a person has a specific ability, has a specific stimulus response connection. A person can respond to, a problem or to a situation in different manner. He believed that there are different factors, there are different elements which are going to determine your ability. There is nothing as general intelligence or, a single factor theory. He totally discarded that. According to him, people had differences that could be compared with the other people also, and the differences existed between them as well. So, internal as well as the external differences did exist, which separated them from the others. Now, different tasks could be accomplished by people in a different manner. Somebody can do a mathematical problem within a second, while the other might find it very difficult and would take 10 to 15 minutes to get to the solution. So, on the basis of this, there are four basic features or the attributes of intelligence. The first one is the level. What does it mean? The level of intelligence, according to the psychologists, depends on the level of difficulty of a problem solved. If you have solved a problem which is very difficult, you are considered more intelligent. If you've solved a problem which is very easy, your intelligence level is going to vary with that. So you cannot measure somebody's intelligence alone, independently. It has to be dependent on something else. And what was its dependence? The difficulty level of a problem. The second attribute of intelligence, according to psychologists, is the range. The number of people, problems solved by a person of the same level. Remember, in my previous videos, I have given you an example of the fact that nowadays, according to the education system, when a question paper is posed in front of a child, that question paper will comprise of different levels. You will have a high level, some portion of it will be aimed at the high achievers, those who are very smart and brilliant. Some portion of it will be a mediocre level paper, and some of it will be for the low achievers or for the slow learners, which is going to be very, very easy. So basically, how well and how quickly you are able to solve the number of problems of a given degree, how well you are able to solve the problems which were pertaining to the high achievers, that is going to determine your level of intelligence. Next, we have area. The number of situations, at each level to which the individual has to respond. At every level, what all situation is a person supposed to deal with and find a solution to them. That also is going to determine your intelligence. And at the end, it was your speed. How quickly you were able to solve the problem, that also determined your intelligence. But this theory also could not be accepted because one cannot know the ability of a particular person, entirely well. I do not know if a person has solved one question paper in which the high level questions were in abundance and has ended up scoring, let's say full marks. I don't know. I cannot assume, I cannot judge for sure that the child is super intelligent. So that is why this theory was also not accepted. Then came the two-factor theory. We've again discussed about this two-factor theory by Charles Spearman. So he gave this theory, and in 1904 he proposed the theory of intelligence with two factors, the G factor as well as the S factor. G factor is the general factor and S factor is the specific factor. Now, according to him, a person can be described as somebody who's bright or somebody who's dull on the basis of their G factor, the general, the basic, the average qualities that a person possesses. However, the total intelligence of a person is the combination of both G as well as the S factor. So the basic level of intelligence is your G factor. And whatever additions you make to your G factor by adding new knowledge, adding new information, that is your S factor. And your total intelligence is a combination of both. Now, what are the characteristics? How do we define or identify a G factor? As I said, G factor is the average intelligence which each one of us has. So it is inborn. We have inherited that. We were born with it within us. It has a general mental energy, not something which is out of the box, but general average mental ability that everybody has. It is the same in everybody. Nobody is possessed with more or less G factor. It remains the same. The amount of G factor differs from individual to individual depending on the environment and the heredity factor. Obviously, we've again talked about it. The parents, the students, the children basically inherit their G factor from their parents. So the heredity is going to play a very important role in that. One uses one's G factor in every activity of life, and the more the G factor in an individual, the more successful the person will be. And what do we mean by the S factor? S factor is that which is learned and added by an individual on his or her own. That was not inborn, you have worked hard to acquire it. It varies from activity to activity in the same individual. One person can exhibit supernatural skills, amazing skills with respect to a language, but may be very dumb and dull when it comes to some mathematical solutions. And individuals differ obviously in the amount of their S factors because nobody can acquire the same amount of knowledge and information than the others. So where G factor represents the intelligence that one was born with, that one inherited, that the intelligence that the person is going to use to perform some tasks which require a general mental ability. It is responsible. For example, general mental ability means something which is common to everybody. There is an earthquake. How is one going to respond to it? There is a heavy rainfall. What are you going to do in that rainfall? So these are all the general things that each one of us knows about it. While whatever specific abilities, special intelligence is added on to that is known as the S factor. So people have G factors as well as the S factors. If we say that there was a person who performed very well in literature because he was interested in it by birth, maybe his parents are both poets or literary artists, and because he inherited some specific aptitude also for literature. So his ability, his intelligence is going to be the sum, the addition of both his general factor as well as his specific factor. A person may be very good in social science, and would be a brilliant, can actually end up becoming, let's say, a history professor or a doctorate in history. So G factor is present in all the activities. Everybody has that basic mental intelligence. But the addition to that intelligence is what we call as the S factor or the specific factor. Now, what are the educational implications of this two-factor theory? How did this two-factor theory prove to be useful in the field of education? One, this theory gives a teacher better information about the nature of intelligence of the children. As we know, if a teacher comes across a child who at an early age is able to write a poem on his or her own, the teacher will be able to identify the presence of the S factor in that child. The general ability A teacher would know that general ability also differs from a person to person. So she cannot expect two people, given the same problem to solve it at the same time. The specific abilities also differ from person to person. Somebody would be better at acquiring new information and skills, while the other person will not be that good and better at. S factor also varies in degrees. One can change the amount of S factor that you have by better learning or by being trained regularly. A child requires different amounts of both G as well as the S factors if you want to get success in some subject. G factor is to be required more because we can add new things if the base is very strong. So if your base is strong, if your G factor is strong, for you to get more success in life is going to be quite automatic. Both G and S factors are related to each other. If you have a stronger, a better G factor, you'll be easier to acquire S factor as well. And this theory could be used to guide and to, construct a set of abilities in the children. So with this, my dear students, we come to the end of the theories of intelligence.